I'm Russ White. This is MSU Today. Happy to be back in the presence of Michigan State University President Samuel L. Stanley, Jr., MD, to discuss a little further some of the topics he covers in his February 2022 Spartan Community Letter, which you can read by clicking on the Communications tab at president.msu.edu. President Stanley, thanks again for visiting with me.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, Russ, to be with you, and very excited as we continue through the spring semester.
This month, Michigan State University marked the 167th year since its establishment by the state of Michigan. From the 63 students, 5 faculty members, and 3 buildings on campus when we opened our doors in May of 1857, we now enroll almost 50,000 students, boast 5,700 faculty and academic staff, and 564 campus buildings. And I know it's very easy for you to get busy day-to-day running this great place, but how are you reflecting on not only our great past, but what's ahead for MSU?
So what a great question, Russ. And, these kind of anniversaries really are helpful sometimes to allow one to take stock as where you're going as an institution. I think the founders would be very, very pleased with what they saw from Michigan State today. Top 100 ranked global university, 500,000 degree Spartans, so 500,000 people who bleed green in our alumni network around the world, and all 83 counties in Michigan being served by MSU. So I think those who envision this land-grant mission would see it fulfilled, of course, on the state level as they wanted, but also having impact on the national and international level as well through our work. And I think what we're doing in terms of expanding through the original focus on agriculture with our extension is really important, that we're now getting involved in medical education, research programs that are really making a difference overall. And I think our strategic plan really builds on this excellence. And so we're trying to find ways now to take some of the outstanding programs we have and really get their impact increased. So I look at our College of Education, for example, and its possibility of impacting K through 12. I look at our remarkable plant scientists and the work they can do in sustainable and renewable agriculture to try to mitigate the effects of climate change. All of these things are taking place on a day-to-day basis at MSU, and all of these have the possibility of impacting people. And I'll close with talking about our health disparities. We've talked before about the work we're doing with Henry Ford and others, McLaren, other Spectrum, Sparrow, to improve the health of people from the state of Michigan. And also, as I said, trying to eliminate health disparities. So we're taking the mission, and we've really worked exponentially to expand it and have impact on that, and be an institution that touches people's lives in so many different dimensions in so many different ways.
Hope, health, and healing. And sir, the excellence driving MSU's growing impact is due to the quality of our faculty and staff, several of whom earned recognition recently in announcements from 2 prestigious organizations. First, what is the American Association for the Advancement of Science and the distinction of Fellow recently earned by 9 MSU faculty members?
So the American Association for the Advancement of Science is the world's largest scientific society, and I think one that becoming elected a fellow of is a very distinct honor, and I think one in which very few individuals attain. We had 9 MSU faculty members picked for this year. That's extraordinary, and actually ties our record for the most in any single class. And there were 7 different disciplines represented, so we know we have some very strong disciplines in areas like nuclear physics. I mentioned plant science, but it was great to see the breadth of the individuals who have been nominated this, and again, to point out the breadth of MSU's research excellence.
And the 2 MSU researchers are among the recipients of 2022 Alfred P. Sloan Foundation Research Fellowships. Sloan Fellowships honor the most promising scientific researchers working in the United States and Canada.
Yeah, so we're very excited about this. And again, these are some of the really young faculty who are really making a difference. So this is really part of the lifeblood of the university, is we have established investigators who have become very prominent in their field, but we also want to have individuals who are at the early stages of their career who bring the energy and creativity that can make a difference. And Professor Hardesty, Professor Kachkovsky, both of them are impactful. Hardesty is working primarily in evolution of our planet, taking a look at the evolution of our oceans, our atmospheres, and life on our planet. So the kind of big questions of how that happened and how we avoid perturbing it too much. And then Professor Kachkovsky is working on quantum particles. And of course, as we think about things like quantum computing going forward, the work that's being done there in the mathematics of quantum theory are incredibly important. He works on that very esoteric areas. And so, again, great honor to the university. It means we're continuing to attract outstanding faculty, and that's really at the lifeblood of what we do.
And we have a new dean of our renowned Lyman Briggs Residential College in the Sciences, Kendra Spence Charavello, who has served as interim dean of Lyman Briggs since December 2020. Talk a little bit about not only Lyman Briggs, James Madison, the residential college in the arts and humanities, really spectacular small college feels, but inside the great resources of the research university.
Well, first, my congratulations, obviously, to Dean Charavello, and I think she has really made a difference in her interim time, and there was extraordinary support in Lyman Briggs for her elevation to the role of dean, and so she's very much deserving of that. She's an internationally recognized ecology researcher who's an expert on lakes and bodies of water around this area, and does tremendous work in analyzing their vibrancy and health. Again, water is so important to Michigan State, so to have someone who's an expert in that, I think, is important. The residential colleges are a unique aspect of what we do, and they really allow students to experience the kind of small college experience that people can find very valuable. And it's not for everybody, but it's an opportunity to be really on campus, living with some of your faculty and instructors, living with fellow students who are interested in the same major, and I think allows for a family kind of community orientation that may be more difficult. So James Madison, Lyman Briggs, ARCA allows this kind of coming together to occur, and I think allows for a more intense educational experience. As I said, you can have a great educational experience at MSU without doing a residential college, and you can create your own kind of nooks of knowledge and leadership with your roommates and so on, people you want to live with who may share common interests, and that those options are always available too. But this is a little more programmed, and I think, again, is an opportunity to have a little different, a small college experience at a larger place like MSU.
And last month, sir, in our conversation, we said goodbye to retiring MSU volleyball head coach, Kathy George, who over her 17 seasons here became MSU's winningest volleyball coach. Now we warmly welcome our new Spartan volleyball head coach, Leah Johnson. Have you met her yet, and can you tell us a little bit about her?
I've not met Coach Johnson yet. And first of all, I should say, Kathy George was such a pioneer in women's sports, and we just have to put this in the context of all the ways in which he contributed as the first woman coach to take a team to the NCAA tournament in volleyball. That's amazing to think about, that happened, during our time and, during her time as coach, but she's the one who did it, and she had a great record over 17 years. Leah Johnson comes to us from Illinois State University, Division I school, where her 5 seasons there, her teams made 5 postseason tournaments, including 4 straight NCAA tournaments. And as you know, that's where we want to be. As I think about our Michigan State teams, we want to compete for championships and have the opportunity to believe we can compete for championships. So I think Leah, has, Coach Johnson has really shown her capabilities, and we look forward to her first season in the fall.
Our annual Give Green Day is Tuesday, March 15th, when Spartans come together to support our students through a wide range of impactful programs. It's a chance for all of us to make a big difference in the space of 24 hours. givingday.msu.edu is the place to go, but talk a bit about the important contributions to MSU's excellence that our donors make.
They are so important, Russ, and philanthropy is really the margin of excellence, and your question is really timely. I had a chance to attend with our students some alumni events over the weekend, and we brought 3 students to them, and their stories were inspirational. And the way they talked about the way in which Michigan State University had changed their lives and will help change the lives of their families and their siblings and everyone they know was extraordinary. These are all people who are committed to doing something to help their communities going forward. They're in different areas, but all related to science. They're all students who did research. But what they talked about at MSU was opportunity. They said very few institutions had the opportunity to allow them to fulfill their dreams, and MSU did that. And they also had financial support to do that. So all of them were recipients of scholarships. And so the scholarships that you provide to our students, the scholarships you provide to, and grant support you provide to faculty, all of that translates into changing lives and impact that goes far beyond just that gift. There's really a tremendous effect that comes out from people's willingness to donate. So, this is your chance to make a big difference in a mere 24 hours. I encourage everybody to participate, and I appreciate all the giving that people are doing already, but this is the time to step up a little bit and maybe make a difference in a student or a faculty member's time at MSU.
And February is Black History Month, and Black history is really American history, but what are you reflecting on during this month?
Well, I think, it's really important that we acknowledge the struggles and recognize the extraordinary accomplishments and contributions of blacks in American history, blacks, Africans, and African Americans in American history. And I think, obviously, the William G. Anderson lecture series we have, Slavery to Freedom, that the College of Osteopathic Medicine supports, I think is a place where one can go and continue to get educated on this issue. And just a couple weeks ago, at the time of the board meeting, I sat down with the members of the Board of Trustees, and we watched the documentary Through the Banks of the Red Cedar, which is an extraordinary story of Gene Washington, the football player at MSU, who was part of a group of students who came up from the South, essentially, where they experienced very profound segregation, to a more expanded opportunities in MSU. And those student athletes came together and created some of the best football teams in MSU history under the leadership of Coach Duffy Doherty, who really led the first fully integrated college football team in the U.S. and one that had national championships in 1965 and 1966. So I encourage you, if you haven't seen this documentary, it's a chance to reflect on how far we've come, but also how far we still need to go, because some of the problems that exist today still reflect challenges that we have with race in the United States. So it's great. It was on Amazon Prime for those of you who are looking for it, but I think it's something worth watching. And finally, I think I posted something on Instagram about the fact that MSU has been amazing in its opportunity to host black leaders and thinkers from around the world. And I think there's an opportunity to hear some of their inspirational words, and that there's a link in the community letter I sent out that can lead you there. But more than celebrating the past, we remain committed to really implementing diversity, equity, and inclusion on our campus, and the work that Jabbar Bennett is doing, the work that our task forces for racial equity have been doing, and the steering committee for DEI on campus have been doing, is really going to allow us, I think, to move forward and actually implement and make a difference. And so I compliment all those who continue to do this work, and it's taking place throughout the campus. Our goal is a noble one, and I think we can continue to make progress on a daily basis towards it.
And President Stanley, just any final thoughts for Spartan Nation as we proceed through the semester?
To circle back to what we talked about, we've had 167 years now to make a difference, and we continue to do it every day. I thank everybody who's a part of it at Michigan State now, and we're going to continue to push the limits and make our state a better place to be.
President Stanley, as always, thank you for sharing your insights with MSU Today.
Thank you so much, Russ.
That's Michigan State University President Samuel L. Stanley, Jr., MD, talking about issues in his February Spartan Community Letter, which you can read at by clicking on the Communications tab at president.msu.edu. And as President Stanley said, lots of links to more information in the letter, everything we've been talking about. And you can also keep up with President Stanley on Instagram at MSU Pres Stanley. And I'm Russ White. This is MSU Today.